All the top presidential candidates, or at least those who've announced, they were in New York City today to speak at Al Sharpton's National Action Network conference. Dominic Carter, he had a front row seat.
They took to the stage back-to-back, an impressive display by any measure.
We have a criminal justice system in this country that is deeply flawed, it is informed by bias, and in urgent need of reform.
A fleet of 2020 hopefuls, 6 senators, and former Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper.
Today, we have a president, for cheap political reasons, who is trying to divide us up by the color of our skin or where we were born or our sexual orientation.
I am in this fight because I believe in opportunity, not just for those born into privilege. I believe in opportunity for every single one of our children.
There was even a candidate present who just declared his campaign, Congressman Tim Ryan.
If we're going to rebuild the United States, it needs to be in these communities too that have been unplugged.
In 2016, African-American voters comprised of about 25% of the Democratic primary electorate.
I think it is time in our politics to cross that river of our great divides and to walk that sturdy bridge of our democracy to get to a higher plane in our politics.
President Trump is tearing the moral fabric of this country apart. Our president is a coward.
Poverty is not a moral condition, but a nation that tolerates poverty at the levels we have it right now is in moral crisis.
And other top Democrats took to the stage.
But if I could work in a restaurant and become a member of the United States Congress, so can you. So can you.
Beto O'Rourke was among the Democrats kicking off the conference Wednesday. Mr. O'Rourke, welcome to New York. Do you really believe you can win the presidency?
I do. I wouldn't be doing this and I wouldn't ask my family and those who have supported us to get behind us.
The Senate's top Democrat made a joke.
I have an announcement to make. I am not running for president.
Why did you decide yourself not to run?
I decided not to run because I didn't, frankly, have the ambition to want to be president of the United States. I didn't want this job enough to get up every day and do this, and I love the job I have in the Senate fighting for workers.
So he's the one not running. Well, Dom's here, and so is Andrew Whitman, our senior political correspondent. All right, Dom, everybody shows up to kiss the ring. Okay, let's say it for where it is. Who acquitted themselves pretty well, and who do you say, okay, I understand the name and all the rest, but they're just not ready for prime time?
Well, Senator Harris from California, she's in the top tier of candidates. Capacity crowd, standing room only, but I was a bit shocked that she was on teleprompter, Richard. I mean, where's the passion, of your address? Senator Gillibrand from New York, she's not in the top tier, right? She was very passionate during a luncheon. We got the regular Bernie Sanders, but it was Reverend Sharpton says it was not about kissing his ring.
Of course it was.
But to see all of those folks there, Richard, it was interesting.
And you know what? Whatever we say, somehow, some way, Cortez has become a rock star in a matter of months.
Richard,
I didn't see a lot of other freshman Congress people there, right?
Richard, I agree with you 1,000%. I was sort of reluctant covering her. I didn't see much substance. Maybe I was wrong. That lady, like it or not, is an absolute rock star, period. End of sentence.
Any of the presidential candidates getting similar rock star treatment? Anybody getting more treatment than you would have thought given their position?
Well, no, Senator Harris, she was on our own home turf before a predominantly African-American crowd, so you would expect for things to go well for her. But AOC, she did quite well. What I found interesting, she started by admitting that she was nervous. She said she was nervous last night because she said this speech was before Sharpton's group was really important.
All right. Well, there was a name who wasn't there, Andrew, because he hasn't formally announced, and that's Joe Biden. But in the Me Too generation, somehow, some way, Biden, he's in it, and he hasn't done his best here to make the story, a 2 or 3 day cycle. This thing keeps going. For those people who missed it, he was at a D.C. event in front of a union operation. He decided to, on a friendly home turf of a crowd here, he decided to make a joke about all the stories of unwanted embraces by Joe Biden. Take a listen.
I just want you to know I had permission to hug Lonnie. We had permission. Hey, all those kids, you want to come up on the stage, you can come up. It's okay. Come on up. I don't want you to have to stand all along, but it's up to... By the way, he gave me permission to touch him.
Okay, and apparently, even got off in the room, his handlers knew he had to do cleanup on aisle 5. So right after that, they did a little bit after. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on this. I don't think this is going to dog the campaign that long as they can hopefully get a message and stick to it. Although I know with Biden, that's tough.
Yeah. You thought he would sort of put it behind him with the video yesterday, or at least took a large step to doing that. But that's the quintessential Joe Biden, is the guy who's going to make fun of himself or the things that he's done in the process. I mean, my take on this issue is it's something of a mirror for the voters. It's less about Biden. It's more about the perception of how people see Biden and see other men who have done things like that in the past.
But admit it, intuitively, when he was talking off the cuff, especially out in the scrum outside when he was doing the cleanup, and I'm not at all comparing policies or life experience and the rest, there was a bit of a Trump in that he was going to say things that he thinks people, were thinking but didn't want to say. He'd say it. He'd throw in a few 4-letter words, not the F-bomb like Trump would do or whatever else. But if there's an appeal for Trump, there's certainly going to be an appeal for Biden. And I think if this was conscious, he's trying to target that mature voter and that middle-class white voter out there who thought they didn't have a choice but they had to go with Trump, that he could be a viable alternative from this time?
I mean, this is the threading the needle that he's going to have to do. This is the kind of thing that everybody was like, oh, look at adorable Uncle Joe for the 8 years that he was vice president. Nobody really pushed back on it, and now people are. And it's the same thing's going to happen with his policy. The same thing's going to happen with his record. I mean, this should be a more difficult choice for Joe Biden than it seems like it's going to be. He seems set on running. I really think he should pause and figure out if this is going to be worth it.
Take a guess.
Brutal.
If he was there in New York, would he have gotten the biggest ovation of everybody or no?
Possibly, because Biden has done well with African-American voters. And let's not forget, for 8 years...
He was attached to Obama's side.
That's
Absolutely.
right. That's
Biden
right.
is articulate and good-looking. So.
He's clean. Clean, yeah. Okay, coming up next, we're used to inside joke. If you go look in some of the old quotes, you'll know what we're talking about. We're used to outrageous things coming from this guy here, but even by his standards, he may have outdone himself this week. We're going to show you what we mean after this.